in 2017. In other words, according to the prosecutors prosecuting the Galamsey Queen after she was recently rearrested, Aisha Huang was never deported or repatriated, but rather she escaped lawful custody and sneaked out of the country before the Attorney General got the opportunity to fully prosecute her. We will shortly have more for you on our analysis of the timelines for Aisha Huang's arrest, escape, purported deportation, fleeing, repatriation, and rearrest. But first, I want to take you to the circuit court when Aisha Huang and 3 other Chinese nationals were today arraigned. Joseph Akable is our court correspondent and joins us on the telephone right now. Joseph, walk us through these fascinating details prosecutors revealed today regarding her first arrest in 2017 and why she is a flight risk.
And so, Evans, I'm reading directly from the fact sheet that was filed in court, which portions of which were read by the police prosecutors. And so it reads, the complainants in this case are security and intelligence officers based in Accra. All the accused are Chinese nationals who have gained notoriety in engaging in a series of small-scale mining activity known as Galamsey across the country. During the year 2017, the first accused, that is Aisha Huang, was arrested for similar offense, but managed to sneak out of the country, averting prosecution. In fact, the Detective Inspector Frederick Sapon, who is leading prosecution, told the court, and I quote, he says, she has the capability of sneaking in and out of the country at her own will. And so that is it by way of the information we have as to how she left the country.
And staying with that, details, the details that was before the court, did they give details on how she got back into the country? Do we know anything?
Yes, they make the point again this time around that she sneaked into the country. We are told that she managed to do so by changing details on her Chinese passport. So that portion of the fact sheet reads, during the early part of 2022, the first accused sneaked back into the country after having changed the details on her Chinese passport. Again, when the police prosecutor was speaking in court, Evans, a very interesting point he made. He said, Aisha Huang cannot even tell the court how she entered the country. That's the exact statement he made, to make the point that if the court were to grant such a character bail, it will indeed prove very problematic because the prosecutor said she cannot even tell them how she came back into the country.
And Joseph, Aisha Huang's lawyer has been challenging the prosecution's claim that his client sneaked out of the country before she could be fully prosecuted. And I must add that Aisha Huang's lawyer is former Deputy Interior Minister under the Akufo administration and a stalwart of the governing MPP in Akufo-Addo.
His argument is that they went to court and were told that the Attorney General intends to discontinue the case. After proceedings, he wanted to go away with his client, but he was informed that the client should come over to the office to perform some official duty, just signing some documents, only to wake up the next morning to hear that she has been flown out of the country. So hearing this time around that the claim is that she has sneaked, he says he cannot reconcile that with the earlier information.
Please, what happened was that I was defending Aisha Huang at High Court Criminal 1. Then, on the day that we were supposed to open our defense, the Attorney General entered noli prosequi, which means don't prosecute. Then the Attorney General took my client away from the court. The next thing I heard the next day was that my client had been flown out of Ghana, back to China or wherever, but out of Ghana. I didn't understand why the Attorney General did not allow us to finish the case. I think it was a wrong move, but they took her out of Ghana. Today we are being told in the court that she sneaked out of Ghana, which is false, a blatant untruth, an inaccurate statement, which was made to the court. Very sad.
But Joseph, we all are worried about and asking questions about how did she manage to sneak back into the country. Does Akrabia Fada's client, Aisha Huang, know anything about this? And does he himself know anything?
His answer was no, but he had some interesting comments about the work of the immigration, and he says he only does not want to indict them, but he still asks the questions anyways.
I don't know how she entered Ghana, but I don't want to say that I want to indict Ghana Immigration Service, because any foreigner who comes to Ghana passes through our borders, and each of our borders are manned 24 hours by immigration officers. So immigration cannot tell me that they don't know how she entered Ghana.
As far as you are concerned, was there any legal impediment that barred her from coming into the country?
As far as I'm concerned, there is no legal impediment that bars Aisha Huang from coming to Ghana, because she's a human being like you and I, and she's entitled to freedom of movement. And if only she has a visa, she can enter this country anytime.
Now, Joseph, these jaw-dropping details and the only intriguing details about today's court appearance. I mean, Joseph, explain to me what's happening there in the background. What's the chaos about?
These are sounds of 5 policemen rushing out one other accused person. I understand her name is Zhongli Huang. She's the second accused person charged alongside Aisha Huang. Just before the judge delivered his ruling on the application for bail, she collapsed in the courtroom, and so the 5 officers picked her up and rushed her out of the courtroom into a vehicle, and she was rushed over to the courtroom. And so it was quite a scene, as she had to be rushed to the hospital.
I mean, do we know anything about what happened next after this accused person collapsed?
She's been kept in the hospital. We understand she's doing quite well, but she's part of, together with the other 3, they were all remanded into police custody. But their lawyers, we've been getting some additional details. The story they tell us is that this particular lady is a friend who visited Aisha Huang. And so they said she just happened to be at the residence, and during the swoop, she was picked up as well. They again allege that the other 3 men who were also charged alongside her, the other 2 men, I must say, they say that these are individuals who work in the house. In fact, they refer to them as garden boys. And so as far as they are concerned, they are surprised by the claims that they are as her accomplices in the venture of the illegal mining activity and the illegal sale of minerals that she's alleged to be engaged in.
What about Aisha Huang herself? Was she in court? How did she look? And what was her plea?
I think the best word to describe her entire disposition in the course of proceedings is pensive. There were moments where she seemed a bit restless, especially when proceedings seemed to be dragging a bit. And there were instances where she put her hands on her forehead, and sometimes she simply looked away from proceedings altogether, seeming to be thinking about something beyond what was transpiring right before her eyes.
Joseph, thank you very much. So, admittedly, this Aisha Huang story can be confusing. So let's break it down for you based on what we know so far and the key timelines that may give us a clue what really happened. Aisha Huang was first arrested under this government in 2017 for alleged involvement in Galamsey. You know that by now. Now, she was detained, charged, but just before the prosecution could actually start in earnest, the Attorney General terminated the case, and this was in 2018. We then learned she had been deported. In 2019, Senior Minister Osafo Marfo made the disclosure and justified it, claiming it was to facilitate healthy economic ties with China.
A very good relationship with China. They're the main company that is helping develop the infrastructure system in Ghana. Is Sino-IT. It's a Chinese company. The one that is going to help process our bauxite and provide about $2 billion to us. And when there are these kind of arrangements, there are other things behind the scenes. Putting that lady in jail in Ghana is not going to solve your economic problems.
So that's what Sasomafo back in 2019. In fact, that same year, President Akufo-Addo confirmed the deportation. Obviously, his security chiefs had briefed him that Aisha Huang had indeed been deported. The president did not only confirm it, he admitted it was a mistake. This is the president speaking at Princeton in the USA in September 2019.
I think the decision that was made to deport the Aisha woman, on hindsight, was a mistake. And that is why that process, that procedure has been stopped.
Now, up until September 2019, the security chiefs had obviously briefed the senior minister that Aisha Huang had been deported. He believed it and justified it. The president himself also believed she had been deported and said that was a mistake. Now, fast forward 2022, nearly 3 years on, in August, just last month, we discovered that Aisha Huang is back in Ghana and back doing galamsey. Questions then emerged. Was she ever really deported? Then yesterday, nearly 3 years after confirming she had been deported and that it was a mistake, the president suddenly, for the first time since Aisha Huang was first arrested in 2017, introduces the element of uncertainty and the possibility that she may have fled.
I'm not still sure whether she was in fact deported or whether she fled the country the first time and has now come back. But whatever, there still seems to be some uncertainty about it.
Then comes the information minister shortly thereafter, emphatic that what the president believed in 2019, that she was deported, or as he now puts it, repatriated, was actually the true account of things. This is the information minister, Kojo Nkrumah, just yesterday.
What is on the minds of many people is, indeed, does this person exit the Ghanaian jurisdiction? That's what's on the minds of many people. Now, whether the instrument that was used was a repatriation or a deportation, did she exit the jurisdiction? And I think the answer to that is yes. Exited the jurisdiction on the wishes of the government. And repatriation, in fact, I have cited the repatriation notice or the repatriation order. I've also cited the flight details that were used for that repatriation exercise. I'll share them with you and your producers.
But as we have just been reporting today, another major contradiction of the information minister's declarations has emerged. This time by state prosecutors who just filed official court documents confirming President Akufo-Addo's suggestion that she indeed may have fled. In fact, for the prosecutors, they were asserting that she sneaked out. Not only that, but also that she fled and averted prosecution. If you take the prosecution's set of facts, then you come to one conclusion, that Aisha Huang was never deported or repatriated, as information minister claims, and considering that that narrative appears to confirm what the president first dropped in the public domain, that she may have fled, then it becomes difficult to dismiss the facts before the court that she indeed, quote, sneaked out of Ghana, averting prosecution. That then raises a further complicated question. If the prosecutors are right that she sneaked out and averted prosecution, then at the time the Attorney General was terminating the case so she can be deported, was Aisha Huang still in the custody of the state? Is it possible that at the time of filing of the nolle prosequi to terminate the case, Aisha Huang may have already, quote, sneaked out of the country? Then comes the final major question, which is, so if the prosecutors are right again, like the president suggested that she fled, or to use the prosecution's own language, sneaked out of the country and averted prosecution, then those flight boarding details the information minister confirmed to us yesterday, who did that belong to? If Aisha Huang sneaked out of the country herself, for the avoidance of doubt. These are the flight details upon Nkrumah confirmed to us last night. This repatriation notice was issued, revocation of permit and repatriation was issued on the 19th of December 2018, was signed by Controller General Kwame Siatechi, and she was put on Ethiopian Airlines flight ET220, Accra to Addis Ababa, dated December 19, 2018. She was placed in seat 32F and had issued and used gate C7 to board. she had flown economy class and boarded at 11:35. Are these accurate?
There. I think the facts that you have just narrated show clarity that indeed the order was issued, indeed the steps that were necessary to ensure that she's out of our jurisdiction were followed.
Again, the central question. If the prosecutors are right, like the president suggested that she fled, or to use the prosecution's own language that she sneaked out of the country averting prosecution back then in 2017, then those flight boarding details, the information minister just confirmed, who did that belong to? If Aisha Huang sneaked out of the country herself. Now, as you heard the information minister say earlier, he had promised to share those flight details with us all, including the repatriation notice that, of course, according to him, confirms that Aisha Huang indeed was repatriated. Indeed, the information minister has shared those details with us. My colleague Bless is in the studio with me with those details. Bless, let's go through them. First, the information minister shared with us the flight ticket, correct? The ticket.
Yes, that's correct.
The ticket. Okay. What is it? What is on this ticket? When is it dated? From where to where? What time? Boarding gate, etc. What is on that ticket?
Well, the itinerary, first of all, has been issued by the Ethiopian airline, and going by that, Aisha Huang was supposed to have left the country on the 19th of December, and then arrive in Addis Ababa on that same day. But then the eventual destination was supposed to be Guangzhou, which is one of the provinces in China. And the arrival date is the 20th of December 2019.
Okay.
But we also do have a copy of the boarding pass from Accra to Addis Ababa, indicating that the flight number ET920 would have Aisha Huang sit at seat 32F using the gate C7, and the boarding time was 11:35 on the 19th of December 2019, as we're reporting. And of course, if you take a look at the migration card, Evans, we have one N Huang. We are not able to confirm at this point if that's the true identity of Aisha Huang.
Yes.
Who's
But information minister, if you're
reportedly-
taking this information minister's word,
yes,
that's for Aisha Huang.
precisely,
Okay.
who's being captured on the migration card with N Huang, who's a Chinese national, and on that migration card, the purpose for the departure is repatriation. That's the word being used there.
Okay.
And then it's to the same province of Guangzhou in China.
Okay.
So that goes to suggest that if indeed Aisha Huang was the one captured on that document using the Ethiopian airline, then of course she would have been moved to Addis Ababa, and then from Addis Ababa to Guangzhou in China.
Okay. And then also I see a further document, which is the notice of revocation of permit and repatriation.
That's accurate. It's signed by Kwame Esiatechi, who was then the Controller General of the Ghana Immigration Service, and it reads, you are hereby informed, and this letter is to N Huang, a Chinese, with passport number G39575625, with a notice indicating that in accordance with Section 22A of the Immigration Act 2000 Act 573, your permit to remain in Ghana has been revoked. You are to leave Ghana immediately on receipt of this notice. You are directed to stay out of the country, and Evans, watch this, until the Controller General approves your future re-entry into Ghana.
Okay, so this was almost indefinite, dependent on a change of mind by the Controller General. We don't know if the Controller General changed his mind, for which reason Aisha Huang is back into the country or not, but investigations are continuing as the prosecutors have asked the court now to hold there further while they finish that. Thank you very much. And so, again, back to a few set of facts now. On the back of everything else that we know, there are two, from the government and the state-owned, official sources and government-owned official affirmed positions, two positions now emerge. One view is she was deported. If you take terminology wise, then you add repatriation.
Yes.
Whatever it is, that view says we remove there out of Ghana. And that view is shared by Opon Nkrumah and Osafo Marfo.
Yeah.
And President Akufo-Addo in 2019.
Precisely.
So in 2019, they share this view. In 2022, a second view has emerged that she fled, right? She fled. Or as you use a prosecution's word, and this is proper document before a court of competent jurisdiction, that she sneaked out of the country. Not only that, she did so averting prosecution. So, in other words, we wanted to prosecute her, but we could not because she sneaked out. And that view is held by state prosecutors who are told the court so. And the president in 2022 who introduces that element, because that was the first time we had the possibility of fleeing.
You're right.
Was the president who suggested it 2 days ago.
But he says he wasn't sure.
He wasn't sure, right? He wasn't sure. So that's what I'm saying. So if you take the president alone, there is a 2019 view of deportation. Yes, it happened, but it was a mistake. 2022, yeah, I'm not sure that we deported her, but I can tell you possibly that he may also have fled. Then a day later, prosecutors confirmed that second possibility, which is sneaked out, averting prosecution. So that's where we are, and a lot of questions emerge. Professor Kwesi Enin is a security analyst, joins us on the telephone line right now. Doc, your reaction?
Well, there certainly is a crisis of trust and a crisis of confidence in government institutions and their representatives and the manner in which they are presenting the story. And is it because these things did happen, or there's a concerted effort to cover the tracks of Ghanaians who have facilitated and connived and colluded with this woman? Because whichever way we look at this, people in positions of authority and trust have failed the people of Ghana and have lied possibly to the president. So security agencies have some really serious questions to answer. How did she flee? The issues of privacy here. Under what conditions have we got access to her boarding pass? Is the boarding pass genuine now? Has it just been printed and backdated? Have we seen the manifest of ET 920? Have Ethiopian Airlines released the personal details of a passenger to somebody? So Evans, the more people try to cover up, use terminologies to wiggle out of tight corners, the more they expose themselves and the more they create a situation of mistrust and a lack of confidence in the explanation. So there are quite a number of institutions who have some very difficult questions to answer to the people of this country. Number one, when the story was put out there in December 18, that she had been deported because her prosecution would have a problem relating to the Sino-Hydro loan, how did the senior minister get this information? Was he also lied to? Or this was part of a conspiratorial attempt not to put her before a court of competent jurisdiction? Now, this document that the prosecutors are presenting, I think we need to subject the ink to test. Is it an old document? When did they write it? So I am at a loss as to who is telling us the truth and why these multiples of contradictory stories are now coming out. Certainly, the immigration boss is in a tight corner. If this lady managed to abscond, where did he get the documents from? The boarding pass with a seat number. And if she was deported or being repatriated, was there an officer who ensured that she had actually cleared the last ticket check or the boarding pass check at gate number 7 and actually entered the plane. I think if Ethiopian Airlines is complicit in releasing these documents, can they then help us whether she actually got out in Addis Ababa and connected a couple of hours later on their direct flight to Guangzhou? You see, because the hollowness of our so-called security apparatus and those who have sworn to protect the interests of the Republic of Ghana have been torn asunder. That one individual, a gangster, can work with critical actors located within the intestines of the state to such an extent that when she reappears, actually has the audacity to reappear, the whole state apparatus is confused, is contradicting itself, and now we are back to the basics. Can we trust those who are speaking for the state? Are they telling us the truth? And I think the trust deficit is growing by the day as more and more of officials attempt to explain the increasingly inexplicable.
I mean, Prof, there's so much to unpack. I beg indulgence. Stay with me for a second. We'll be joined shortly by Samuel Kuditabla, he's the ranking on the Foreign Affairs Committee, who was the first to reveal, following his own digging, that Aisha Huang, if she was deported at all, wasn't escorted. He will join us pretty shortly, just after the top of the hour, as we unpack what is unfolding tonight as far as this Aisha Huang story is concerned. Prof, stay with me. Samuel Kuditabla is also joining us right now. We'll come to the details of what else we know, what this means, and what should happen now.